Hey there, my friend. Let me share this story from my own perspective as a wise Jewish man, drawing from my personal life experiences and that timeless Jewish wisdom passed down through generations, the kind that really stresses resilience in the face of hardship, clever planning to outsmart challenges, and always spotting those hidden opportunities even when everything seems pitch black. You know those gut-wrenching moments in life when you flip open your wallet and it's just completely barren? Not a single penny rattling around, no spare change, not even the faintest whisper that tomorrow might bring something better. And then you glance at your fridge, and it's echoing that same void. Shelves staring back empty, mocking you. You're supposed to be a full-grown adult by now, right? Someone who's got life all sorted out, with responsibilities and all that. But instead, there you are, slumped over, staring at the wall, pondering the big question: how on earth do I keep going from here? It's in those raw, vulnerable times that the flood of advice starts crashing in from every direction, like well-meaning waves that sometimes just drown you further. Folks around you chime in with classics like, save every dime, stash it away, cut back on spending. But deep down, you're thinking, save what exactly? There's nothing here to begin with. Or you get those even more out there suggestions like, pour resources into yourself for growth, when you're scraping the bottom just to afford a simple subway ride. I vividly recall those exact struggles from my own path, my bank balance glaring back at zero, and when loved ones would casually ask, hey, how are things shaping up? I'd plaster on a fake grin and mutter, oh, everything's just fine. But inside, it was a fierce internal war against waves of shame, that nagging sense of not measuring up, of letting yourself down in ways that cut deep. I get it if you're right in the thick of that now, teetering at the absolute bottom, where it feels like the world's joys are parading by without you. But here's a profound lesson I've gleaned over the years, deeply rooted in the Jewish teachings of endurance and faith. Being broke isn't some eternal curse handed down by fate. It's not proof that the universe has it out for you personally. No way. It's more like a loud alarm bell, a clear signal urging you to snap out of waiting mode, to stop hoping someone else will swoop in with a lifeline, and instead, roll up your sleeves to forge your own breakthroughs. And here's something truly eye-opening, pal. Those very people gazing at an empty pocket, convinced the game's over, are actually perched at this incredibly advantageous launch pad. You've got that pristine, clean slate going for you. No entrenched bad habits of frittering away cash on nonsense. No illusion of wealth that shatters dramatically later on. What you've really got is this burning desire, this raw, unfiltered hunger for a turnaround. And let me tell you, that's the mightiest force you could harness, just like the stories in Jewish lore where our ancestors turned exile and scarcity into triumphs through sheer will and ingenuity. I want to dive into a deeply personal tale that completely reshaped how I see money and survival. Way back in my younger days, I was stuck in a dead-end job that hardly covered the basics like rent, leaving me with zero buffer. Bills would pile up in the mailbox, and I'd avoid it like the plague, dreading the confrontation. It honestly felt like every force in the world was aligned to keep me down. But in that very pit of despair, a light bulb flickered on. No savior is showing up to sort this mess. Not the authorities, not your employer, not even your closest buddies. The sole architect of your financial turnaround? That's you, staring back in the mirror. Oddly enough, that epiphany brought a wave of relief washing over me. Once you quit pinning hopes on external miracles, you pivot inward, mining for your own solutions. And get this intriguing twist. What if I assured you that escaping zero is within reach for anyone ready to roll up their sleeves and commit? Not merely a hasty exit, but a deliberate roadmap that morphs utter nothingness into a rock-solid financial base, one you can confidently construct your dreams upon. Today, I'm handing over those initial keys so you can grasp that it's all genuinely achievable. This isn't some mystical spell or underhanded tricks. It's a methodical strategy, honed by the passage of time, packed with tangible actions and, crucially, proven outcomes. I'm not here dangling the carrot of overnight millionaire status. Absolutely not. What I'm offering is the tools to seize the reins of your finances, so that before long, you'll sense that command returning to your hands, accompanied by a surge of self-assurance, inner calm, and that authentic empowerment that changes everything. Now, When this plan unfolds before you, hold off on snap judgments. Don't dismiss it as yet another cookie-cutter nugget from a feel-good guru. I'm coming at this as someone who's trudged through the zero zone firsthand, navigating debts that loomed like mountains, wrestling with that suffocating helplessness that makes every dawn feel heavy. I know the drill of rising each morning to the stark reality of still nothing, and equally, I know the thrill of planting that inaugural barely noticeable step and witnessing the gradual transformation of your world. Each subsequent action you take post this conversation propels you nearer to liberation, from the relentless grip of worry, to the joy of deciding you're spending freely, to crafting an existence that aligns perfectly with your vision. So, hang tight with me until the very close, as I'll unpack precise steps, weave in anecdotes from my journey, and share insights that have lifted not only me, but countless others I've crossed paths with, elevating us from zilch to an enlightened grasp of money matters. And the cherry on top? I'll demonstrate that even in the bleakest hour, when loss seems total, a route always emerges. A route charting from zero straight to steadiness, to self-reliance, to a vibrant life where you're the one calling the shots on priorities. So, ponder this question right this second. Are you prepared to break free from circumstance's chains? Eager to embark on that modest yet courageous first stride? For that very stride marks the dawn of your fresh narrative. If you commit to seeing this through to the finale, I guarantee you'll depart equipped with practical instruments, a roadmap for what's next, and that empowering vibe of owning your destiny. All right, my pal, we've arrived at the heart of it all, the hands-on steps that genuinely propel you out of zero territory. And believe me when I say, I'm speaking from the trenches. I've navigated this terrain personally, drawing strength from Jewish principles of steadfastness in trials. Every single step I'll outline has been rigorously tested through my own trials, those of my close companions, and the journeys of individuals I've witnessed ascending toward financial security. Let's kick off with the first. Cease the fear of money itself. Yes, you heard right. Let go of that dread. In my initial forays into handling finances, I was petrified to so much as glance at my banking app. Each ping could herald disaster, an empty balance or a bounced transaction. But here's the revelation that hit me. As long as fear paralyzes you, action stalls, whereas money itself remains indifferent, emotionless. It simply gravitates toward those who approach it with respect and readiness. Thus, the inaugural move revolves around cultivating awareness. Pull up a chair, snag a notepad, and lay it all out truthfully. Your current holdings, outstanding debts, those sneaky recurring charges. Sketch a true-to-life map of your situation. It may come across as unflattering or downright pessimistic, but it's pure, unvarnished truth, the bedrock upon which all advancement rests. Moving to the second step, dive into earning, regardless of perceived skill shortages. Sure, it might ring as overly simplistic. Just go earn some cash. But allow me to flesh it out with a slice from my own history. Back when my pockets were echoingly empty, I kicked things off by offloading anything surplus. Dusty books gathering cobwebs, outdated gadgets, even helping pals unload their clutter for a cut. Soon after, it dawned on me that my time and know-how held value too, offering guidance to acquaintances on everyday matters, snagging those low-stakes assignments from firms that others snubbed due to meager pay. With every modest sum I pocketed, I'd squirrel it away thoughtfully, pondering optimal uses, scouting spots to invest where it could multiply and serve me back. And let me assure you, it truly delivers. Even the smallest influx of cash morphs into that foundational block propping up your emerging financial edifice. On to the third step, commit to self-investment. And no, I'm not advocating splurging on exorbitant workshops or trendy boot camps. What I mean are grounded pursuits that foster genuine knowledge and capabilities, echoing the Jewish emphasis on lifelong learning as a pathway to prosperity. Dive into accessible books, soak up no-cost instructional clips online, engage in conversations with those who've already navigated to your aspirational spots. Drawing from my family roots, my grandmother often invoked our Jewish heritage with sayings like, "Wealth finds its way to the patient awaiters, yet it rushes faster to the well-prepared." It clicked for me. Solid knowledge forms the cornerstone that amplifies money's potential. Mastering discerning decisions, Decoding market dynamics. Pinpointing prospects amid apparent obstacles. That's the investment that pays dividends eternally. Fourth step. Establish rigorous tracking and scrutiny of your flows. Once I committed to documenting every incoming and outgoing penny, a major insight emerged. Previously, my expenditures gravitated toward what felt urgent, but yielded zilch in return. Those insidious daily nibbles, grabbing a latte en route, piling on subscriptions you barely use, impulse buys that accumulate. They devour your resources stealthier than imagined. Initiate by logging absolutely everything. I cultivated a routine of weekly audits, tracing where funds vanished, evaluating what truly added value versus what drained pointlessly. And wouldn't you know, it awakens your perspective. Confronting those figures empowers informed choices, shattering illusions and fostering reality-based living. Fifth step. Welcome those minor triumphs without dismissal. This aspect often gets overlooked, yet it's pivotal. In the depths of having nada, any sliver of earnings, a saved sum, or a savvy transaction might seem insignificant. However, each such nugget fortifies your financial stronghold. From my recollections, amassing that inaugural 1,000 rubles sparked an immense sense of liberation within me. Building on that to 2,000, then scaling to 5, it gradually instilled the belief that transformation was within grasp, that I held the power to direct my trajectory. Sixth step. Cultivate diverse income avenues. I've always steered clear of hinging everything on a solitary gig. When starting from scratch, such dependency spells peril. Aim for at least a duo or trio of streams. Your primary role, side hustles via freelancing, perhaps a modest entrepreneurial venture, or ongoing self-enhancements yielding returns. It needn't be grandiose. Consistent, albeit humble, inflows weave a protective buffer. The linchpin? Discipline. Assign purpose to every incoming ruble. Allocate portions for necessities, reserves, and personal advancement. Seventh step. Curate your social sphere wisely. Time and again, I've observed individuals' momentum fizzle out amid pervasive negativity and gripes. At ground zero, your environment's sway is amplified tenfold. Seek connections with growth-oriented souls, those adept at financial navigation, individuals radiating inspiration. Beyond mere encouragement, they unveil fresh concepts, vital networks, and those subtle openings that can blossom into substantial revenue sources. And wrapping up with the eighth, anchor your attention on overarching objectives, not mere currency. Fixating on rapid wealth accumulation erodes long-term tactics. View money as your instrument, not the ultimate prize. Genuine targets encompass liberation, self-assuredness, and tailoring life to your desires. Prosperity naturally aligns with those peering past immediate woes, constructing enduring frameworks over fleeting fantasies. Reflecting on my application of these principles, from utter destitution, within mere years I attained consistent earnings, erected a security net, and indulged in aspirations once deemed fanciful. Beyond monetary gains, it instilled profound inner fortitude. I'm convinced of my capacity to surmount obstacles. Thus, if zero defines your now, embrace it not as finale, but as genesis, a prime opportunity to reboot and meticulously sculpt your fiscal realm, one deliberate action at a time. Bear in mind, every increment, no matter how slight, nudges you forward. Though progress may initially crawl, rewards manifest for the methodical, enduring, and steadfastly committed. Now, let's delve deeper into weaving these concepts into your daily existence. While counsel rings eloquent theoretically, it's the steadfast execution, layer by layer, that transmutes rhetoric into palpable shifts. And I aim for you to recognize that each step, though straightforward, hinges on unwavering discipline and raw self-reflection, commencing with the premiere, shedding money's terror and pinpointing your precise standing. A tangible illustration from my network. A companion, whom we'll dub Ilya, plummeted to zero post-layoff from a major firm. He evaded his bank statements, dreading the grim tallies. Rather than evasion, he armed himself with a journal, chronicling all available funds, liabilities, ongoing outlays. What ensued? Merely visualizing it scripted granted him dominion. With transparency, he strategized, liquidating surplus, negotiating debt extensions, securing auxiliary work. Essence? Mindfulness births that inaugural triumph. Second, venture into earnings sans evident talents. Practically, if culinary prowess is yours, market homemade delights across social platforms. If prose flows from you, snag copywriting tasks freelance style. Personally, I initiated by aiding others with bureaucratic forms and brief advisories for nominal fees. Yet, I refrained from squandering those earnings frivolously. I channeled them toward education, literature, implements that subsequently amplified my revenue. The crux: morph each income-generating endeavor into accrued wisdom and assets. Though appearing trivial, their accumulation erects your cornerstone. Third, prioritize self-enhancement. Select a marketable aptitude and nurture it diligently. An associate of mine mastered website creation from nil using gratis web tutorials. Initially, he crafted pages for buddies at bargain rates. Half a year on, a robust clientele ensued, earnings surging manifold. Forego awaiting flawless setups or lavish programs. Commence with accessible resources, scant investment, yet total dedication. Fourth, institute meticulous expenditure oversight and dissection. This might manifest as a rudimentary mobile ledger. An acquaintance adopted noting every disbursement: beverages, transports, autosubs, petty acquisitions. Monthly review unveiled nearly a third evaporated on frivolities. Consequence: culled superfluous services, opted for home-brewed drinks. Liberated funds bolstered an emergency reserve. Such a modest tracking ritual profoundly alters fiscal conduct. Fifth, cherish those incremental victories. Drawing from my saga, hoarding that premier 1,000 rubles, I deemed it paltry. Yet, it ignited empowerment. Subsequently targeting 5,000, dissecting into weekly 500s, those victories fuel drive and instill fiscal rigor. Sixth, forge multifaceted revenue channels. In action, blend core employment with adjunct pursuits and digital ventures. A friend meshed courier duties with independent linguistic services. Arduous initially, yet revenues ascended, enabling full pivot to personal endeavors yielding superior compensation. Crucial. Orchestrate, so each conduit enhances reliability, sans descending into disarray. Seventh, environment's potency. Should comrades perpetually lament finances inertly, their outlook infiltrates yours. Thus, pursue alliances with achievers mirroring your ambitions. I affiliated with vocational collectives and affinity circles, yielding not solely erudition, but inaugural profit avenues via endorsements and partnerships. Eighth, orient toward aspirations over pecuniary fixation. Institute periodic milestones, monthly, seasonally, annually. For instance, amass 50,000 across 6 moons, segment into 5 to 10,000 monthly accruals, ancillary employ, aptitude upgrades. Aspiration aligned, currency transforms into facilitator, alleviating tension. Permit another vignette from my chronicle. Amid zero, I envisioned a digital commerce venture. Scant capital, yet blueprint intact. Sourced economical vendors. Marketed initial stocks among circles. Proceeds recirculated. Semi-annually, consistent yields, and that commanding sensation materialized. This encapsulates pragmatic deployment of all phases: mindfulness, procurement, self-augmentation, monitoring, modest triumphs, revenue multiplicity, apt companionship, aspiration centering. Integrate concurrently or sequentially, but imperative. Mobilize. Routine minor advances culminate in avalanche effects. Months hence, your pecuniary stance diverges from nullity. Annually, astonishment at advancement prevails. Hence, procrastinate not. Formulate your debut scheme forthwith. What immediate maneuver seizes fiscal helm? What trifling victory beckons morrow? What routine inaugurates instantaneously? Authentic endeavors, albeit diminutive, ignite veritable metamorphosis. And assuredly, praxis elevates cognition to emancipation. Okay, companions, we've navigated to our discourse's culmination, where I'll interlace everything into your prospective existence's grand tapestry. For advisories, progressions, and narratives serve merely as apparatuses. The veritable might surges upon utilization, Upon embracing accountability for each stride, every cent, each election undertaken, recollect our inception. Coffers at kneel, egress elusive, apprehension shackling diurnal existence. That's the juncture, capitulate or mobilize. And trust my assertion, mobilization feasible amid direst straits. My trajectory exemplifies. From nil, encumbrances, ambiguity. I erected constancy, emancipation, existential governance, and pivotal, achievement spanned not nocturnally. It unfolded progression by progression, diurnal by diurnal, conquest by conquest. Foremost comprehension, indigent signals transformation, sans condemnation. Alterations inaugurate via cognizance. Scrutinize finances presently. Holdings, commitments, prospects. That's locomotion's genesis. Herein resides triumph's premier enigma, per Jewish sagacity. Dominion engenders liberty. Obliviousness forfeits it. Candor and numerals empower navigation. Secondary. Deed. Procure, self-invest, acquire, aptitude hone. Efficacy manifests solely via genuine execution. Innumerable I've beheld absorb footage, tomes, schemes, yet idle, then query stasis. Response elementary. Devoid deed. Erudition lingers hypothetical. Initiate modestly. Dispose superfluities. Inaugural freelance. Conserve and chronicle outflows. Each minuscule deed burgeons exponentially. Tertiary. Trivial victories non-trivial. Amid void, each myriad, feat, astute allocation constitutes triumph. Acknowledge, commemorate, leverage for impetus. They burgeon via regimented fortitude and forbearance. Quaternary. Milieu molds cognition. Pessimism submerges. Uplift elevates. Cultivate motivators who've actualized fiscal autonomy. They unveil trajectories unimagined. Quinary. Currency instrumental, non-objective. Target emancipation. Selections. Desired existence. Objective-centric. Each penny labors for thee. Strategize intervals. Fragment grand aspirations minutely for perceptible advancement. Allow supplementary from my narrative. Kneel-bound. I aspired petite enterprise. Scant reserves, yet scheme solidified. Commence nominal investments, vending via acquaintances and digital avenues. Each transaction recirculated. Lunar cycles later. Outcomes. Augmented yields. Assurance. Apertures. Paramount. I sensed existential mastery. That's resultant of holistic step application. Cognizance. Deed. Self-elevation. Oversight. Modest conquests. Milieu. Objective alignment. And whereto I guide thee? Should nil presently. Its inception. Non-termination. Inception of self-authored saga. Trail to emancipation. Assurance. Self-governance. Narrated functions operative solely via deed. Diurnal progressions converge. Await not prodigies or impeccables. Embark with extant. Contemplate instantaneously. What today alters thy plight? Trifling conquest morrow. Routine now? Praxis liberates erudition veritably. And for prospective impetus, every odyssey initiates premier pace. Kneel originators advanced leisurely, confronted barriers, persevered. Thou canst likewise. Self-trust, mobilize, acquire, apt milieu, objective fixation. Temporal lapse, astonishment at expanse. Should this methodology resonate, craving further time-honored notions, channel subscribe. We'll explore authentic escalation modes, pecuniary stewardship, self-progression, aspiration life erection. Miss not novel footage. Collectively, nil to emancipation. Progression by progression, diurnal by diurnal. Recollect, nil initiates, non-verdict. Prepared mobilize, self-labor. Existence transmutes instantaneously. Premier pace. Today, lunar spans hence thou'll affirm, I accomplished. What's thy debut maneuver, pal? Let's actualize.